Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Drama Surgery podcast. In this week, we continue with our review of Marry My Husband. We currently just watched episodes 11 and 12, and I have to say, I don't know how I feel about this drama anymore. Well, I know how I feel. I just don't know if I want to continue watching this drama. Because a lot of things happen in this episode that I'm just like, why? To start with, I would say my biggest gripe with this last two episodes was the introduction of the character of Oyura, because I feel like she's adding nothing to the plot. In fact, maybe because I've come to like Jung Soo-min so much and like how she plays a villain character, that I am kind of against this Oyura character, because to me she's kind of cartoonish, right? She comes off very, very cartoonish. She's the typical evil second female lead that, wants the male lead and has no regard for anybody else, and it's just something we've seen a billion times. And again, I get it, this is like a Korean rom-com. It's not supposed to be some innovative, groundbreaking, interesting drama, but I thought they would at least stay away from that kind of plot, mainly because they have so much things they could cover, so much content that they could explore, right? Yang Juran and Secretary Lee, Bekuno and Yuyeon, like there's so many different characters that we could look at rather than have this like cartoonish villain come in and kind of just ruin everything, right? And it not only ruins the story so far, it also ruins like characterization of a lot of people, especially Kang Ji-won, right? And I'll talk about her later. But first things first, this Oyura character apparently she's not in the webtoon, but she is in the web novel, and the web novel is the original source of everything, right? So I guess yes, she is in that, and that's probably why they brought her in this. And again, I'm sure it also fits like what they were thinking, because Korean producers, writers, directors, I guess they can't do without this. But I really want to know what's going on in their head. Like, will something happen to them if they decide not to use this cliche plot trope? Like, I'm wondering about that, because every time, even when they don't need to have this, they always bring it in somehow. Why must you have this ex-fiance, ex-girlfriend of the male lead every time? It makes no sense. I don't understand it. But regardless, yes, it is in the web novel, and since that's the original source, okay, we'll go with it. Now, I don't know why they've decided to make her as bad as this, because I do know that like the writers have adopted a lot of things from like the webtoon, web novel, that is like not exactly how it is in those like materials, that they could have done that here as well. Just bring in an aspect, not the whole thing. Although I don't know what the old web novel is like, whether Oyura's character is this bad. But looking at the preview of next week's episodes, like she's telling Park Min-hwan to kill Kang Ji-won, and I'm like, what? Why is this going into like cartoonish territory? Like, this is going into like Mark Jang drama, soap opera level kind of territory, over a guy that she did not even really have a relationship with, right? This is somebody that their parents just decided, okay, they'll get married when they're older, right? It's a very business relationship that they are working on here. And given that she had already said okay, you would think that means that she's cool about this, because again, they have no feelings built up, right? But then she comes back and says, oh, he's charming now, he's like a man because he likes another woman. Which woman on this face of this earth wants a guy that changes his behavior because of another girl? It's not because of you, it's because of another girl. But Oyura is such a cartoonish character that we're just supposed to go with this, I guess. And this is what pisses me off, because I guess I've come to like Jung Soo-min so much that Oyura's character is kind of a slap into my face, because she's just not layered. Jung Soo-min had a way of making something that was very mundane and also cliche seem interesting, right? She had this way of bringing in that you would like to think that there's just something more to her, right? Even though, yes, she was crazy and everything, but there was just something about her and how she acted. Song Ha-in was so good at this that I don't know why they felt that they needed another villain, right? It's kind of annoying, to be honest. And going on that, Kang Ji-won too, this is the part where I was talking about how I dislike how they've like taken Kang Ji-won's character. The moment where she and Yoo Ji-hyuk are talking in the office and he's trying to explain his point of view, and she's like, you can't just break off a relationship one-sidedly. I was like, what does that even mean? This was the same issue I had with her character in Forecasting Love and Weather. There's just sometimes when it's just inconsistent and it makes no sense. It's like she's just punishing the male lead for no reason. And she does that here too. She does that in Love in Contract as well. There's just something about how they write a character sometimes that I'm like, I don't get why it needs to go down this part. Right? Because when she says that like, oh, you can't just break off something one-sidedly, I was like, I mean, like, that's literally the only way you can break things off. Like, that's the textbook way. Or else, like, the person that you're dating has a right to become a stalker. This is how Park Min-hwan was, basically, when she tried to break up with him in, like, the first episode, right? He, like, pushes her against the wall and he's very violent. And I'm like, that's a scenario where literally you want to break up the relationship and he's not letting you, and he becomes like this violent character. I understand what, I guess, the thought process is, because I think she's thinking that given how our own background is, how our mom left her dad, right? And how our mom kind of one-sidedly broke up the relationship with her dad, that's kind of, I guess, what she thinks Yoo Ji-hyuk is doing with Oyura, given that they were like engaged for like the past like 7 years or something like that, right? So I think that's where she's coming from, but the way she just said it, it wasn't working for me. And I was just like, no, she should understand this more. Like, is she expecting it to be a virgin, to never have dated anybody? Like, what is she expecting from this guy? He is not supposed to be perfect. He's a human being as well, right? And he should have had relationships. But the fact that they make her like say that, I'm just like, ugh, the writers have messed that up. Just that little one part is like messes up her character. And I'm sure she's like going to change her mind and everything. But like the fact that she even said that in the first place was just like, no, they should have like thought of something else for her to say in that moment. And I was really disappointed in her character at that moment. But going back to the villain, because that's really what this episode is about. I have to rant about Oyura's character because it just doesn't make sense. And like I said, right, it relegates Sumin to this secondary villain at this point. She's no longer the main one that's shining, right? And I really dislike that. One thing that I noticed though is like the appearance of the truck that is always killing people, the white truck of doom. It's here and it has a driver, in fact. Usually in Korean dramas, the truck of doom usually does not even have a driver. It's just a faceless like car that's driving straight to our characters and, you know, getting them in an accident. Whereas here it even has a face and everything. And just seeing the truck was like, I'm like, oh yeah. We've gone back into the realm of like typical Korean drama plot, because Oyura is going to try and have her killed and stuff like that. Yoo-ji-hyuk is going to save her, of course. But yeah, it was just interesting to me that that is where they're taking this. Like, they are really taking it into the cartoonish Makjang area, which is really not necessary. But yeah, another thing I'll say that's a gripe for me in this drama, and it's, I guess, something that's been on my mind since I started watching this drama. I guess it's just this last 2 episodes that it really shined to me, is how sulky the male lead is. Like, I feel like Yoo Ji-hyuk is a very passive male lead, right? There's just something about the way he does things. He's always sulking. He's always like looking like he wants to cry. Like, I don't know if that's how he's supposed to be, if that's how he is in the webtoon and the web novel. But in this, it just, sometimes it's not working for me, because I'm like, he's not active enough. Like, why when Oyura comes and she's talking about how he used to be from her fiance, why doesn't he shut it down immediately? When the grandfather is inviting Oyura, the fact that Oyura keeps going to their house and seeing the grandfather, why doesn't he shut that down immediately? Why is it like trying to play politics with everybody and trying to like raise their emotional part? Like, you see how he's talking to his grandfather and trying to explain things to his grandfather. I'm like, just put your foot down on these things. Like, you can seem to do that with some things, but when it comes to your own personal like life and things like that, for some reason he's kind of just a passive character and he expects things maybe to fall into place and everything. And I'm like, no, like, you should have more drive. You should be able to, like, Kang Ji-won should not be the one that has to fight Oyura in this case. She's your fiance or your ex-fiance. You should be able to handle her, right? And I just don't like how they've like drawn him or written him to be like that. I dislike it, and this last episode really showed that to me. I hope in the next 2 episodes he gets some balls to do what's necessary, because oh my god, if I see Oyura still by the end of next episode, I'm going to lose my mind, because she needs to be gone like ASAP, right? I can't see her for another like 2-3 episodes. I'm actually going to lose my mind, because then you just know that the drama is not going to end the way you want it to. Like, it's not going to end the way I want it to, which is like I expect to have at least one full episode watching Kang Ji-won be happy, just like the whole episode, not like 5 minutes before the drama ends. I will. So like somehow Oyura needs to be gone by the next episode, and we need to like speed up everything so that like Kang Ji-won can be happy and just be in love with Yoo Ji-hyuk somewhere, right? So I just hope somehow they fix this. He somehow gets the strength to do what is necessary, because if this continues for the next 3 episodes, it's not going to be very good. But again, I give the writers the benefit of the doubt, because like I said, I know that a character is in the original novel, so I should not be too critical. But I just really disliked that she was like this thing that came out of nowhere, this person that came out of nowhere that you don't need and doesn't add anything to the plot. Right, there are other ways I feel like they could have gotten characters to do what they wanted, right? And again, this takes away from, like I said, all the romance that we could be having, and it just really annoys me. I will say that one thing I am interested to see next episode is the reason why Sumin acts the way she acts, because I can see that Kang Ji-won is going to ask her that what is the reason why she's so hateful towards her, because I guess it's not what I originally thought. I just assumed that she was just a narcissist and she saw, Ji-won as that friend that it was kind of a doormat that she could push around. But the way it's seeming is that like there's actually more to it. And Kang Ji-won seems to be asking her that in the preview for next week's episode. So I want to know what the reason is, because I'm very interested in her psyche and why she does things. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope they give a good reason. I've been trying not to get spoiled of what that reason might be, but I'm actually very interested. So yeah, that's really it for this episode. This last episodes of Marry My Husband were kind of not that great for me, but I mean, I will say that because I understand that I guess Korean writers, Korean directors, we get an itch. They will catch an itch if they don't shoe on things into the last few episodes. I was mentioning this earlier, that I was worried about the pacing of this drama and whether they were able to deliver what I wanted. And I'm worried again. Like I said, I'm worried again. So, hopefully by next episode, things reset and like Kang Ji-won gains the strength, Yoo Ji-hyuk gains the strength to do what they need to do, and we can move on. So yeah, I did enjoy it. It was very like soap opera-ish, more so than the rest of the episodes. Kind of out of place, but still good. It got my like blood pressure up and everything. Like I was pissed by the end of episode 12, but still I'm looking forward to next week's episodes, and hopefully they are good as well. So yeah, that's it for me for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a nice day. Bye.